Okay, so this is a conversation I had, and it doubled my income and saved my life instantly. Instantly. And I you have to appreciate where I was at the time. I was making about a $500,000 talking. Pure profit. I had no overhead. I was working out of my house. It was incredible, that part. What wasn't incredible was I was running around chasing myself, always fearful that it was going to end. I had this thing going, I still do, I guess, where I had agents calling me and booking me, and it was crazy, and I was putting my fee up, and I was feeling really good about myself, but I was forever terrified it was going to end. And I was starting to panic. Okay. So I hired this really smart business coach. Okay. I knew him. I called him. I said, you got to come and help me. He asked me 3 questions. I doubled my income instantly, and I stopped working. I reduced what I was doing by about 80%. Okay. So here it is. Here's the questions. We get together. He goes, okay, so what do you do? So I tell him what I do. I say, oh, well, I help people make more money, businesses, etc., by helping them think differently about where their clients look for and measure value. Doesn't that sound like a completely bullshit corporate answer? Because that was. Some public relations agency helped me come up with that. Okay? And he's amused. He goes, okay, but what do you do? Like, what do you do? So I think, okay, that didn't satisfy him, right? So I got to give him a better answer. So I think about it, and I say, well, I speak at conferences for an hour, and I talk to them about, a couple of truths in business and the marketplace, and I help them see how value has changed, and by doing so, how they can shift their offering a little bit, think a little differently, and create some value. I got to give him an answer like that. He smiles at me. That's okay. But what do you do? Okay. Now I'm feeling a little defensive. I'm feeling a little vulnerable. I'm feeling a little silly. I've asked him for help. He's obviously, you're the one in control. I've come to you. I need help. And you've just asked me a question that clearly should be simple. So, guy that wants my help, what do you do exactly? And oh my God, I've whiffed on it twice, like 2 times. You haven't gone, oh, okay, great. So the third time, with a little bit of heat, I say, look, I get paid to go stand in rooms full of people and get them to actually have an original idea, okay? Because they don't have any. They have no idea what they should be doing to delight and engage a client. They have no freaking clue. So that's what I do for those guys. And then the second group of guys, well, they maybe have an idea, but they're not doing anything with it. So my responsibility to those guys, is to get them to actually take some action, do something. And then the third thing that I said I do is I help them figure out how they can systematize that so that it doesn't happen sometimes, it happens all the time, so that they can sort of share, a word I would now use as stage, a consistent client experience. That's what I do. Now he's smiling at me. He goes, okay, so that's what you do. And he writes this down. He says, you inspire people to innovate and implement. And he goes, what? Now I kind of get it. For the first time, I find my feet and I say, okay, I go, I don't believe there's such a thing as your work life and your personal life. There's no work-life balance. It's just one life. Sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not. That's the way it is. So I said, I help them fix things in their life and business for good. I show them ways to fix it, not manage it. Once again, he goes, okay, so you inspire people to innovate and implement meaningful change, meaningful lasting change in their life and business. I go, yes. And for the first time I hear it. Yeah, that is what I do. So much better than I help businesses create more value for clients by innovating around client experience. Like, oh my God, you're exactly right. It's not that PR tagline. It's what you and I just did together. That's question one. Then he goes to question two. Question two. He says, how? How do you do that? I think about it. How do I do that? So I say, well, I do keynotes, I do workshops, I do this, I do that. Now remember, I'm so freaking busy at this time that even the fact that I'm making $500,000 is not calming me down. I'm still freaked out. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing too much. Blah, 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 blah. I'm doing all this stuff. He listed everything I told him. I am talking from like, oh, I show up in the morning and I make coffee. Okay, great. And the point that he helps me see is that in everybody's day-to-day existence at work, there's all kinds of different things that happen. And everything has its own dollar value associated. There are $20 an hour activities that happen in my office every day. And there are $10,000 an hour activities that happen in my office every day. Which ones should I be doing? I should be doing these $10,000 activities. So, question two, he wrote down everything I said I do. I post, I write, I got a blog, I'm working on an app, I'm doing this, I'm doing nuts. He goes through the list. And on every single item on the list, he asked me a simple question. Does this do that? And he'd point to question one. Does doing this help you achieve this mandate of your business, the purpose of your business? And I had to admit, some of them, the question was, no, it doesn't. No, this is really important for you. Everything on my list and everything on your list is going to feel mission critical because you've invested a lot of time and emotion into it, right? So when he started suggesting, stop doing that, I was defensive. I needed some convincing. Like, oh, I couldn't. If I stopped doing that, the whole entire world would fall apart. You know what I mean? Or my business would fall apart. Everything's so important. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. Okay. What he and I did together, and this is why I say, well, I only stopped doing 70 to 80%, because some of those things I know I held on to and kept doing them for a little bit. Not quite convinced that he was 100% right. But he helped me realize that on the entire list of things that I said I do every day, that there were three things that moved the dial. There were three things where I made a lot of money. Those three things were this: speaking in rooms full of people. If I go share a keynote, I'm getting paid. Okay. The other thing was speaking on the telephone. Okay. Talking to people who booked me, who can book me, who organize meetings, et cetera, like good follow-up, good client management, relationship management. He was encouraging me, right? Like, matter more to the clients that you have. And the third thing was I was writing a blog and still do, but at the time I was writing it every single day, 7 days a week, and posting it every day. Okay. And we identified those three things make you all your money. All this other stuff just gets you busy. Doesn't make any money though, but it gets you busy. And sometimes, my fellow entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, creators, freelancers, business owners, sometimes being busy feels good. And that's not a good sign. Sometimes when you're over your skis, when you're lost, when you're not following your plan, when you suspect you're screwing up, a lovely antidote is to feel really busy, because then you can lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're not drifting. Look how busy I am. I'm working 12-hour days. So he's like, okay, these three things that you do. Yeah, ready? He goes, how could you do them better? So that was an interesting question. I went, let me think about that. And he started with talking on the phone. He goes, how much time do you spend talking on the phone? I go, well, I'm in my office. It's like all day. He goes, do you have a headset? I said, I laughed about it. No. He goes, if you had a headset, you could take better notes. You don't have to, what do you do? Hold the phone between your head and the crook of your, like, what are you doing? It's like, right. Then it's like, what's CRM, contact relationship manager? What do you use? Okay, you use that. Okay. So within a couple of questions, thoughts, we took one of the most important things I do and we figured out how to make it better. He goes, okay, let's go to the big one. Speaking. Do you have a coach? Teaches you better stagecraft? Who are your favorite speakers? What do they do? Do they have anything in their game you could have in your game? Anything they do that's really clever that you think, gosh, why don't I do that? Never occurred to me before. So I reached out, I started talking to my agents and asking them, what can I read? What can I do? Who should I watch? I started picking up some really good tips. Not only being on stage, I started studying some of the speakers that I wanted to achieve their kind of success. And I saw how they handled people before and after events, where when they show up versus when I show up, the questions they ask, all this kind of stuff. It literally changed the way I conducted myself as a thought leader. And the third thing, okay, he goes, your blog. How often do you write it? I said, oh, like 7 days a week. He goes, oh yeah. When do you post it? Oh, you know what? That's not right. I said, I write it a few days a week. He goes, oh yeah. And when do you post it? I said, well, kind of like when I think, when I've got one. He goes, right. And then he says, do you read anybody's blog? Oh yeah. I tell him about the blogs I read. Oh yeah. I love this blog, that blog, blah, blah, blah. He goes, right. When does that person post their blog? I said, every morning at 5:30. He says, do you think you could post your blog every morning at 7:30 or 5:30? I said, probably. He goes, how many times a week do you think you could write that blog? And I said, I could write a blog every day, really. Okay. And he goes, could you really though? Because consistency is so important. He goes, like if you say once a week, he goes, great. Then we'll post that blog once a week at 5:30 in the morning on Wednesday. And that is better than doing it sporadically 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 1 time a week, maybe none this week. Be consistent. I ended up doing the blog 5 days a week, every day posting at the same time. And to this day, I have, well over 10,000 people who subscribe to it. So good for me and for you and for us all being together. This is the moral of this story. If you are a creator, freelancer, business owner person like me, and you might even be financially like you're making tons of money, but you don't feel like you own a business, you feel like you own a job, you got to answer those 3 questions. What the hell do I do? Yeah. How do I do it? And when you make that list of all those activities, this changed my life, okay? You got to get real honest with yourself. These are the things that matter and move the dial. And these things, I don't know if I'm in love with the idea of them or I've just worked on them so long, I'm reluctant to let them go. But oh my God, if you get really judicious with your time, you're going to realize this is bullshit and it doesn't move the dial. Stop and get ready for this little slice of humble pie. Absolutely nobody's going to call you and say, hey, what happened to that thing you used to do? Nobody's going to miss it. It's kind of funny. Nobody will miss it. What you're left with in that list, those are your proverbial 80-20 activities. The Pareto principle. 80% of your revenue will come from 20% of your clients. So when you're left with that little tiny nut, that little tiny list, that's what I do every day. Yeah, now how do you do it better? Start doing that. We had a 3-day meeting. I left that meeting making a ton of money, and I had put down at least 70% of the load, and I never had to pick it up again. And today I'm making this video, and I'll tell you this. Well, my revenue's doubled. Yeah. I take 12 to 15 weeks of vacation off a year. Yeah. And I only work with people who inspire me that I like. I turn away revenue based on, I don't really want to hang with that guy. Or the city. I don't want to go to that town. I've been there too many times. I don't want to go back. Okay. I had one conversation, I doubled my income, and I dismissed 70% of the things that keep me busy. Now I'm parked outside my office, my friend, I got to go. Watch all my videos. I'm here to save you. Talk to you soon.